neglect report from a specifically vindictive person that is quite literally the opposite of truth, I am not talking about anything else at all. I'm not saying anything else in here. Talk to me in DMs. Oh, and no guns were ever discharged in this home. I don't even own a 22. I haven't fired any of my guns since moving from my other home to here, been about 5 years, and all of them were locked. Handguns in the safe, AR had a lock through the receiver. So legal mindset pointed out that these are all evidentiary statements of fact, which means that they can be used to impeach him in court. Like, for instance, Rekieta says that he doesn't own a 22, but I'm pretty sure that the round was actually a 22-3, which is completely different. I was informed. I had assumed it was a 22 LR, but it's a 22-3, which is the other kind of round that an AR that can fire a 5.56 can also fire a 2.23, if I'm correct. So him saying that he doesn't own a 22, but that's not what his possession was. I'm pretty sure that he has a 6-hour AR platform which can fire a 5.56 and a 2.23. It's been a while since I did any gun studies, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'm talking about. So when he says that I don't have a 22, that's besides the point. Nobody's saying that you have a 22. They're saying that you have spent 2.23 rounds, which can be fired from your 6-hour 5.56 AR platform. Hopefully I nailed that, because I think what I just said makes sense, but I don't know. Everyone always gets mad at me. So he also says that he never fired this gun, and that's also impeachable because there are streams of him saying to people on his stream that he did use his AR to put down wild animals. He was talking about killing a bunch of raccoons and stuff on his property. So he's saying, I don't own a 22. Well, you weren't being charged with that. And he says, I've never fired this gun. Well, you've said on stream that you were killing animals with it. So that's wrong. You're lying. That's going to complicate your defense. And your defense is and the defense in this particular instance is extremely important because the gun charge is the minimum 3 years charge. Like, if he gets convicted on that, it's a minimum 3-year sentence. Like, it's bad. He also says, my dad was helping with the driving the other day for our kids' education and extracurricular activities. He tallied it up 80 miles a day on average. I don't care what people think about almost anything. The kid shit is bullshit. I am pretty sure I know who reported that, and they have specific animus towards me. The first activity I missed for my kids was the day I was in jail. I also think that this thing, he's saying that he never DUI'd because his father was helping him drive around. I think there was another string that someone had clipped that like specifically debunked that claim, which is also bad because this is going to be used against him in court. And then what's really weird is that this claim that the person who reported them is like had animus against them. Four people had reported. I think 3 reported to the pastor, and 1 had reported in addition to the pastor to the police department their concerns. So you had 3 members of congregation that dealt directly with Rekieta and his kids reporting that he did, and this is exactly what I said on stream, that my prediction is that someone in the congregation had saw him DUI and reported this to the pastor, their concerns, and that's exactly what happened. One of the preschool teachers said that I saw him drop off his kids while completely shit-faced, and what the fuck. And then the other person from outside his congregation who reported him was Kayla's sister, his stepsister, and the aunt, the maternal aunt of his children, reported to the police her concerns about the welfare of the children. Which is like, I mean, you can say that like maybe one person in the church, maybe the pastor himself had animus. Are you saying that Kayla's sister hates you and is out to get you in addition to the evil people from the church? Okay, buddy. He says, shockingly not pulled over, no cited for DUI ever, never even questioned for DUI ever. Anyway, whatever issue exists for me, and I'm not admitting to shit during my case, obviously, I figured a friend of mine would maybe realize that a friend of mine. That's what he did. He pulls this shit with me too. Before the shower call and during the shower thing, or sorry, shower text, it wasn't a call. He was like, I just thought maybe a friend of mine would want to know, like, hey, the hedonism stuff ain't true. Drexel never did nothing wrong. He a good boy. I just thought people on the internet can say what they want to say. I just thought that maybe a friend would want to know. It's like, I'm looking at the evidence. The evidence is very self-explanatory to me. When he's talking about this with legal mindset, I just thought that a friend of mine would maybe realize that my children have never been neglected or in danger. But I guess that small courtesy is too much. Like, yeah, when the police report is pretty fucking concrete. He says, no, you fucking idiot. No one sees me drive. I know it's hard to see someone when they're driving 88 miles per hour for hours after a bender. Again, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you referring to a speeding ticket? Do you know what track marks are? Retard. I've never done an IV drug in my life. You're doing cocaine at 8 a.m. with your kids watching cartoons in the living room, says somebody. The yellow is somebody else. That's not Rekieta. He says, what the fuck are you talking about? 8 a.m., homie, I'm usually driving home at 8 a.m. and about to go to sleep. So that's even, like, worse. Because he's, like, saying, I spent up all night and I'm driving home for some reason. Like, I'm coming home from the M-Halt home. And my kids are already awake and having to feed themselves. Like, in the perfect situation, the 6-year-old is in the shower taking his bath. The 16-year-old is breaking out the SpaghettiOs for everybody sitting at the table. And dad's driving home after a night-long bender and swinging party with the M-Holtz, high on cocaine, driving 88 miles per hour or whatever. If you think my kids ever went hungry or neglected, kill yourself. And he says, I don't know what to believe. You've become a junkie, and they're not the most honest people out there. And he says, I've been on the stream with you where you were too intoxicated to read super chats for hours. I never thought your kids went hungry. He says, I stopped that because it was getting bad. You need to admit that you have a problem. Become a junkie. Wow. Okay. Thanks, Flash, which is the guy that was censored. So for whatever reason, they didn't censor the name, even though he's talking. So he's outright denying it, even though there are, like, at this point, all the police reports and all 4 members of the congregation and his own stepsister had concerns about neglect. And his whole thing is, like, if you think I abused my kids or whatever, or neglected them, you should just die. And he's banning anybody in locals talking about this, by the way. I think that this is the appropriate time. Let me skim through this. Oh, no, I'll get to that. Okay. So one of the things that happened between last stream and this stream is that Rekieta posted bail. To be clear, Kayla and Rekieta, Nick Rekeita, were out. They were out on personal reconnaissance, which means that they said on a promise, we're going to obey the rules of the court. We're not going to pay money. We're just going to walk out. We promise to come back and do everything right. And part of this means that they have to do P-tests and stuff. They have to, they have like a parole officer, I'm pretty sure, that like makes sure that they're clean and staying clean and can randomly visit their house and inspect it and stuff. The other offer, and I explained this during the hearing, and a lot of people got mad at me and said that I was wrong because it was clunkily worded, but he was offered either conditional bond on recognizance only, as in you go out for free, but you also do these programs, or unconditional bond for $50,000. So it's an either or thing. There were a couple conditions. I think not drinking applied to both. Not drinking and remaining lawful was like a condition of bond for both. But if you did the $50,000, you don't have to do the P testing. Mainly, that's the big one. Rekieta posted bond for himself, the $50,000. So Kayla has to be clean, is subject to piss test, is subject to random search. Nick is not, because he paid $50,000 for it, which is interesting. So it indicates to me that Rekieta does not intend to stay sober during the months before his trial, but he, for whatever reason, doesn't want to do that for his wife as well. Either she on her own is like, yeah, you know what, I do need to get clean. I don't mind. I'll stay sober. There was also a question of if Rekieta had gotten a bail bond. And in case you don't know how this works in the U.S., when they set bond, it's usually a very high amount. It's like $50,000, right? Well, you're expected to pay $50,000, But what happens is that you don't lose all of that. So what you do is you go to a bail bondsman, and you usually have to put up 10%. It's usually 10% up front. So in this case, $5,000. And then you with the bail, and if you don't violate the terms of your bond before your case is over, you get that money back minus the 10%. So the 10% you put down as your premium is the money that you don't get back, but the remaining 90% you do get back. So what most people do is they go to a bail bondsman and they put something up as collateral, like a typical loan, or reverse loan or reverse mortgage. So you can say, I have a car that's worth $50,000. I will give you as collateral my car if you give me the $50,000, and then that's how you post bond, and then you only lose 10% of that to the court fees. So he did get a bondsman. He put something up as collateral to get $50,000, and now he's out. And he only had to pay $5,000 for the privilege. But if something happens, if he gets drunk on stream, if he violates the terms of his bond, if he gets arrested for like any other reason that violates his terms, then he's out the full amount. So they'll take his car, basically. If they don't pay him back, the bondsman will have the ability to repo his vehicle. So that's how the system works. So how does Nick not have $50,000? It's either that he didn't want to pay $50,000 up front, or he just doesn't have it. So who knows? The wife was collateral.